Just get this thing centered. Today's reading is, as always, from the Science of Mind magazine, The Daily Guides. And Margaret Stortz, of course, is our writer this month, Reverend Dr. Margaret Stortz. We give her her full title. And she has broached a subject that comes all the time, at least it does in New Thought, and probably in the broader arena as well. So I'm going to read it and then I'll make a few comments on it because it applies to a certain parts of the population, but not all the population. So here we go. But it's still worth listening to. Okay. It's called The Right Name. The first quote is from artist Holmes' Words That Heal Today on page 47. And in there, Holmes says, the divine presence is the parent mind, present everywhere, just as life is everywhere present. So he's saying there's one mind, and that's the mind that brought everything else into existence, including all the other minds that operate. And then in the Science of Mind textbook on page 358, he says, we cannot come unto the Father which art in heaven except through our own natures. We cannot come unto the Father which art in heaven except through our own natures. And the reading will explain some of it, and I'll explain the rest. But most of you probably know this anyway. And this is what Reverend Margaret's got to say. Many people tell me they are uncomfortable using the word God in reference to deity. Often this is because of some bad experiences they had with the religious activities during their growing up years. To this I say, pick a name, for what's in this name needs to be an inner opening to our divine core, not something that pleases others. In other words, how you refer to the all is entirely up to you. It's your relationship with something that's greater than yourself. She goes on to say, I know a World War II pilot who, as a young man in flight, used to sense Johnny, quote unquote, in his atmosphere. He later learned that this was the name he gave the unoffended God in whom he lived and moved and had his being. Holmes himself used many names in his references to what many called the presence. God, Spirit, the infinite, it, the law, to name but a few. They all worked for him, Holmes that is, and they all served the same purpose. They were a key to opening the door to a personal experience of connection with the One. Should we worry that we might use a term that doesn't honor God? He says, I don't think that deity cares because, after all, the gifts are always given, and it is we who create the open place to be able to receive them. We're the ones who will discover and choose the means to establish our intimate relationship with God. It might even be, as one colleague used to wryly smile, big sweetie. So to a lot of people, what I'm saying is irrelevant. They don't care. To other people, they'll get offended if any other term than God is used. And to other people, they freak out and use the word God. And some people have just got some kind of vague notion of a power that brought everything into being, maybe the quantum field. And some people would imagine that this essence, this power, whatever it is, doesn't have any interaction with humans at all. You know, the founding fathers were, a lot of them were parts of a group who were called deists, D-E-I-S-T-S. And this group, or the deists, were ones who believed, yeah, there is a God, and God produced all this stuff, But now God's gone away and left it to its own devices and isn't interested anymore. So kind of wound up the clock and let the clock be itself. But the bottom line is that the message that Holmes tried to get across and that Reverend Margaret's trying to get across is that if we believe that there's a power greater than we are, then it's our personal relationship with that power and how we interact with it in terms of language. When we go into meditation, it's entirely up to us. And because it's infinite and it's not able to judge, then it doesn't judge us. Now, that in itself is going to come as a shock to a lot of people when we say that God doesn't judge. If God is all there is, and if God is infinite and greater than everything, then God cannot judge because it cannot compare two different things. Because it's everywhere and it's everything. So it doesn't have the ability to actually judge us. The people who do the judging are ourselves. We judge ourselves, we judge other people. And to live in this kind of material environment, we have to be able to separate things out. I mean, I know I'm me, I'm not this screen that I'm looking at, I'm not the computer that's producing these images or the combination of the computer and the camera and the audio that's producing all this. I know I'm not that, I'm separate from it. But the thing is, well, the message that's being transmitted is you can never be separate from your source because it created everything and it is in and through and has everything. And your relationship with it is entirely up to you. And if that shocks you, well, I apologize, but I think that's the way it is. I don't think God judges. I think we are the ones who judge. But what you think about that is also entirely up to you. But the good news is that we have the ability to use the power that flows through us to change ourselves and other things for the good. And always remember, the pointing finger. When you point the finger at someone, whichever way let me do it this way, it's probably easier. When you point a finger at someone, of course, what happens is, trying to get in the camera here, these other fingers here, guess where they're pointing? Well, this is pointing right at me. They're pointing when the finger's pointing away from me, guess what? There are three fingers pointing right back at me. So in other words, when you accuse and judge somebody else, you're really accusing and judging yourself because we don't know what goes on in other people's heads. We just don't know what drives them. We don't. Does it excuse things that are done badly? No, but it just means that we don't judge them. We can judge the act, separate the sinner from the sin. That was, I believe, coming from the Bible. So that's what I got to say for the day. And I realize Central Time, I'm early, but I figure most people do not watch this live. They watch it on whatever social media they watch it on, and they watch it probably in the recording. Now, I know some people watch it live, but most people don't. They watch it after the fact. So I will be back tomorrow with another reading from the Science of Mind magazine daily guides, written by Reverend Dr. Margaret Stortz. Reverend Lisa Ryan, one of my colleagues at Creative Life Spiritual Center. We have 5 ministers, believe it or not. She'll be back tomorrow at 9:15-ish. And Daniel Mercadal, who's one of our practitioners, you see on Sunday doing the doing the Sunday meditation, will be here tomorrow doing meditation. So until tomorrow evening from me, namaste.